I'm Leslie Fagan. I play the flute, and I grew up in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Well, I actually came here last year on a one-year position on piccolo with the Nashville Symphony, and it's a great orchestra. I really like the city. I like being here, and there was an opening for second flute and assistant principal, so I definitely wanted to take that, and I was lucky enough to get the job, and so that's what brought me here. I really like the energy in the city. I feel like it has the kind of the hustle and bustle of a big city without being too big, and I really like that. I like all the food that's around. I really like going out to eat. I live in Germantown, and there are lots of good restaurants there that I enjoy. I'm also interested in kind of the surrounding areas. I think there's a lot of Civil War history around here, which I've explored a little bit. Some of the things in Franklin, I think that's really interesting. I've never lived in the South before, and so that's kind of new to be able to see some of those historical sites that aren't in the Midwest or elsewhere in the country. So the flute, I think part of the role that the flute plays in the orchestra is, it has the ability to really blend with other instruments, and it also has the ability to really sing out and stand out as a voice of its own. So I think it's a little bit more of a vocal color in the orchestra, which is really unique. And the piccolo too, which I was playing last year with the orchestra, is also a really special voice in the orchestra too. That's really almost like a solo voice, and it's can be really fun to play. Really stressful sometimes, but fun too because it is so different. My flute I've owned for just over 2 years. Previously I was playing an instrument that I had since undergrad, which was several years ago. So the current flute that I have, I got just over 2 years ago, and it's by a flute maker. It's made by a flute maker in Boston. There are a lot of flute makers in Boston. This one is a Haynes, and it's silver and gold fused together. So if you look on the inside of the tube, you can see that it's gold, and then the outside looks silver. And then I play a head joint that's by another Boston flute maker named David Williams, and that's made out of 14 karat gold. Well, after my undergrad, I studied with a teacher in England. He has an 8-month course. He accepts 5 or 6 students each year, and he doesn't teach at a school. He lives in a tiny little village near the English Channel, and you go and you live in the village, and we would go to his house twice a week for master class all day, basically. And I loved it. I loved England. I learned a lot that year. He's really an interesting teacher and really knowledgeable. I used to have to get on my bike and ride. I think his house was a couple miles away. I'd have to ride down the lanes in the mud and the rain, and I would have a stripe of mud on my back when I got there, and I'd have to take off. My host family gave me like Wellington boots and a rain slicker, and they lent me the bike, and I would totally have to get there and take everything off and leave it in his mud room so that I didn't contaminate the whole house. I think teaching informs my own practicing and my own performance, because often I'll find myself doing something in the practice room, or that I wouldn't let them get away with. And so I have to remind myself. I hear myself saying something to them, and it's a good reminder for myself. Well, this year I'm a little busy because I'm also teaching at the Blair School of Music, but I do like to exercise. I like to run and swim and bike. I've done a few triathlons and half marathons. It's been a couple years, but hopefully I'll get back on that horse at some point. Swimming is kind of my favorite thing to do. I was a member of a master swim team when I lived in Chicago and Omaha, and so I might take that up again when I have time. I like to play tennis. I was in a tennis league in Omaha, a ladies doubles team, like a league for women's doubles. Our old music director, well, he's the current music director in Omaha. His wife actually got me back into playing tennis. So that's fun. Other than that, I like to cook when I have time. I like to read, hang out with friends, the basic stuff.